All right, good morning. Today is Friday, September 5th. This is the first meeting of the month of the Dryden Public Broadband Committee. This is our reporting meeting for everything going on in the project right now, but reporting on what happened in August. I'm going to share my screen. We'll go through the executive summary and some of the high-level pieces, and then go to team reports. There's a couple things for discussion, and see if we get out of here by 11:30. Even though we have extended our meeting to noon, I'm going to try to use that only as needed.
Dave, did you hit record for me?
I did.
Thank you.
Okay, you should be able to see the screen loading now. This is the monthly report. Uh, so high level, if you only pay attention to the first 10 minutes of the meeting, first 5 minutes, this slide, we now have 472 paying customers. So we added 20 more in August. We had 35 inbound requests in the month of August. So basically one per day. Of that, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I think 29 of those were in the green zone. So um, pretty high percentage of registrations in the green zone. Now, a lot of those were friends of Tony. Some of them were friends of Tony. Those are not the ones. A lot of those are tenants, so we're working through the process of getting them online. And a bunch of them are just people who have been in the green zone for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, who are now kind of getting into the how can I get better service, save money, faster speeds. Monthly revenue increased by $1,000 to $25,000 in August, and year to date, $163,000 in revenue, on track for $290,000 this year. We did have 8 parcels in August, and those are the 8 parcels on Hanford Drive. We're now at 1,815. We still are at 30.9% of the town. The Freeville Extension RFP has been posted. This is 900 new parcels in the north half of the town of Dryden. It's a little over 20 miles of fiber, and the build-out plan is estimated to be 60 days time, 60 business days, not 2 months. So 5 days a week, 12 weeks. That will bring us through October, November, December, some holidays. So it may not get completed before the end of the year, but it is a 60-day time period. Currently, we are in a 15-day RFP period. There will be a non-mandatory meeting next Thursday, the 11th, and the bids are due on the 16th. The town board will meet on the 18th to request authorization to award the bidder, and ideally work could begin on the 19th or even on the 22nd of September. Currently, as of yesterday or as of Wednesday, we had 9 bidders who've requested bid packages. So there's some interest out there for this. And finally, for electrical make-ready construction, well underway. We have 2 contracting companies, H. Richardson and Son, or HRS, and Danella. HRS notified us yesterday they have 7 crews, which is probably between 7 and 14 bucket trucks coming to Dryden to work on these permits to move the electricity, the existing cable, telephone lines, other fiber up and down the poles to make room for our construction. Danella has already finished their first pole permit package, which I think is around 100 poles. So they're also well on their way in moving through the project. That one that Danella finished, I believe, was Caroline 13, which was just east of the Caroline Town Hall. So pretty busy month, new customers, adding a little bit of parcels, and then focusing on construction and permitting. Any questions before we dive a little deeper?
Dave, is the make ready construction, is that mostly where is that mostly in the southern half in Caroline, or is that?
It's all over. We should have a map, I think, by next meeting, either in 2 weeks or the next reporting meeting at the beginning of October,
Yeah.
that will show each of the permits and the stages so you can have an idea. Some of them are in this northern half of Dryden.
Oh, so it's stuff that wasn't done yet, even in the north part of Dryden.
We identified a mix of work that had not yet been done in the northern half of Dryden,
Yep.
work where we had put strand and cable up or
Yep.
fiber up, where we had done some splicing, where we had not done splicing. And on top of all those different stages of construction, some places where electrical make ready has started or not started, and some places where permits were granted and not granted.
Okay.
So we're basically cleaning up everything to get it ready for our customers, which is not just like, put the big toys away, but then put everything else away and put everything else away, put everything else away, and finally get it to where it's ready. Okay, anything else on the overview?
Well, I don't know if we'll get to it at some point, but one of the things I'd be interested in hearing is like, what's our average time right now from if we get an inbound request in the green zone, like what's the average time for their installed and online?
For
It's
non-rental, for owner occupied, Tracy knows the answer is probably like a
Yeah,
week.
something owner occupied.
yeah, it's days right now, Tony. If somebody calls in, they're getting on the schedule. They're getting on the schedule next week
Right.
if they're okay with that, because Clarity is ready to do whatever we need them to do, and Integrity is on this. So, yeah, you saw that with the people up there in your neighborhood.
Yeah, there
they
was
got
there was
connected
one
quickly.
I know there was one that hadn't signed up before that signed up after we went in the green. And yeah, it was less than a week from the time they called to it was just a couple days actually from the time they couple of business days from the time they
Right.
called.
And we didn't just do that because they're on Hanford Drive either.
Yeah. So we had done 65 installs in December up here at the top of this table,
Right.
and we shared that with Clarity, and they staffed up around doing 65 installs or more per month. We actually thought we would be needing to do 100 installs per month.
Right.
And since we're doing about 20, they have a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah, we
So
could make that much heavier if we needed to.
yeah, when requests come in, we'll be able to hit that with their team.
Right.
I just skipped over this slide. This is the MIP scoreboard. Everything in red are the percentages. These all, the bottom five, the ones in blue have to be at 100% by the end of next year. So we are at 1% of unserved, 0% of the underserved so far. We think we're at 12.4% of miles, but that actually we're adjusting that. We've done some right sizing on the project, which I'll talk about in a minute. We have done about 10% of our paid for installs so far, and we've reached about 9% of the parcels of the 2,711. So we are making some progress, but there's a lot of work to do. Many of the unserved and underserved are in the northwest part of Dryden, the southeast part of Dryden, and throughout Carolina. And we have 16 months to go, which is now almost halfway from when we were first awarded this last June. It's one of those projects where we never had any expectation that we would be moving through all these percentages at an equal rate, month by month over 30 months. We knew that some of the things would happen it's a lot of planning, permitting, design work, and electrical make ready before we get things ready for servicing customers and actually installing customers. So it's low, but we're making progress, and I think these will change a lot in the next 6 months. Let's keep going. As I mentioned, we were up 20 new customers, so at 472. Our goal was to be at 757, so we're off by almost 300 installs. That's just basically because we have not done the installations. We have not done the new construction at the pace we were at last fall into last winter. But we also know that that pace was going to end up causing a lot more problems primarily not having enough fiber to service every building and every house, every business, and every apartment in the town. We've redesigned the network from the ground up to make sure that going forward we can cover everyone. That's not the state where we're at when we paused. It looked like maybe we were, but we really weren't. So I think we'll get back on track in 2026. We haven't given up this year, still looking at doing 30 more each month. Will give us to 572 by the end of the year. Definitely not the 1,000 we were expecting. It's really going to be how much of this construction that goes up to get started on September 22nd is actioned and how much of that is wrapped up and ready to go. Remember that RFP for Freeville extension is over 900 houses. Includes some pretty big populated areas. 900 houses is about half as much as we already have today. So we get those online, that's going to have a big impact. This map is finally updated with the new data sheet from New York State. So I'm just going to talk you through just a little bit of this. The construction miles is 147. That's down from the original number from the previous calculation, but up from the construction number because there was some miles that we are not counting that were already built, but we are adding new miles, mostly in Caroline, that was not in the original plan from a year ago. We've also adjusted locations to 2,711. We added a bunch of locations that were BEAD funding, that were not BEAD funded locations, that were not part of the initial project in June of last year. So we've added those, but we also removed a handful of locations that were that are just basically not on the grid. There's no homes on these parcels. Maybe they were old hunting cabins. So we've made some adjustments to the total locations served. In addition, we've corrected the cost per mile as well as adding those additional miles to increase the budget. Now, I'll talk through the process where we are with this, but this is the tentative budget. It still has to get approved by Empire State. We've been reporting on this since June, since Empire State Development told us they were provisionally granting us this increase. It did get picked up this week in the Cortland Standard as an increase. It is not official yet. It will not be official until sometime in October. One thing to note is now wherever we have these purple service location dots, they're close to the proposed network or the existing network or the non-grant network. There were many purple dots prior to this version that were nowhere near any proposed or existing network or non-grant network. Any questions about the project highlights? Okay. So we'll talk about MIP in detail, where we are. September 18th at 9:30, the Empire State Development Board meets to review and potentially approve the expansion of our grant from 8.9 million to 11.6 million. That's pretty soon. It's like 2 weeks away. In October, there will be an Empire State Development public hearing. And then on October 15th, there will be a Public Authorities Control Board hearing. Immediately following that, we'll be given the approval to authorize the signature of the grant disbursement agreement. That would happen at the town board meeting on October 16th for Jason to sign off on the $11.6 million grant disbursement agreement. There are, I believe, 16 other projects in this wave coming through the Connect All office. I think only 3 or 4 of them have grant disbursement agreements signed so far. So we're not the only one in this position. A lot of them have had some adjustments to parts of their project or just location data or other questions. So I think a few more will be part of this agenda and be getting moved forward besides just us. Upon the grant disbursement agreement, the GDA receipt, we can sign it, submit it for our first reimbursement sometime toward the end of October. It'll be around $2 million in reimbursements, which we expect to receive back from the state in the first quarter of 2026. Although we do know that Southern Tier Network's first reimbursement came back in about 45 days. So we're not planning on it being that fast, but it could potentially come even before the end of 2025. Other parts of the project, the Caroline Central office construction, I believe, begins next week. That's the location of their CO, the building that we have in Dryden behind our DPW building. There will be a similar building in Caroline. So gravel pad, conduit pipes, utilities will be put in next week or the week after. The concrete has to sit, and then the bids will be opened later today for construction of the hut at the Caroline Town Hall. And then that will be installed sometime between 1 to 2 weeks from now through October with a groundbreaking officially, like to kind of celebrate this milestone around mid-October. We've asked the governor's office for 10 a.m. on October 15th. It's a Wednesday. We are still awaiting confirmation of that. And then we'll be able to schedule that and let everyone know to attend that groundbreaking. And finally, as I mentioned, permits and contractors, Cultural Make Ready, are moving forward. I'm not sure why I put the word "are" capital. We've awarded, I believe, 11 bids so far. These are moving attachments on the poles or replacing poles or some combination of those. And as I said, HRS reported yesterday that they're going to have 7 crews working on the project. That's the kind of snapshot of everything we're working on with MIP. Tons of involvement with Brad, the team from Vantage, Amanda, and Matt, and our finance and accounting teams to get everything lined up. Locations, mapping, cost per mile, budgets, getting ready for the reimbursement. It's a huge undertaking, but well worth it with this new grant amount of $11.6 million. Mark Whitmer.
Hey, Dave, I just wanted to comment about the groundbreaking and the Caroline pop. So talking to Braden like yesterday, it sounds like it may take them a while. It may take the successful bidder for the hut some time to get the hut. So you're not counting on the hut being in place for the October 15th meeting, right?
No, we picked that October 15th meeting like back in June as like what time sometime this fall can we actually like get some shovels and dig a hole in the ground. There might not actually be any digging to do by that point because the gravel pad will already be there. That has to be there before the hut gets there. The hut we're going to get a refurbished building that will be similar to the one we have in Dryden, which was an AT&T Texas building that was, I believe, living in Oklahoma that we had shipped up here and put on our land. Same thing's gonna be true for this hut.
Great.
And there's timing and cranes and how we actually put all this stuff together.
Okay.
We'll find some way and some place to have this groundbreaking. It's more.
Oh yeah,
some
we have plenty of places to dig a hole.
Perfect. The key part is just getting the people in place who we want to have attend.
Great.
Other
Thanks.
questions about MIP? Thank Mark. All right. Construction status report. So right now we're looking at the project being for MIP being in these 4 phases in the upper right-hand corner of this slide. Project 1 is Dryden MIP North. This is also known as the Freeville Extension. Project 2 will be Dryden MIP Areas South, which will be basically remaining yellow zones on the map, as well as the 4 pathways heading south into the unserved and underserved parts of town. That's Turkey Hill Road to Ellis Hollow to, I think actually we can show you on this map. Each of these pathways coming off the blue line are part of Dryden, part of project number 2. So Turkey Hill Road into Ellis Hollow all the way to Snyder Hill. Another one down Ringwood into Ellis Hollow Road. Another one coming down Irish Settlement into Hammond Hill. And the fourth one is on Route 38. So everything inside the dotted line of Dryden is included in that Dryden 2 package. The third package will be kind of the western half of Caroline, and the fourth package will be the eastern half of Caroline.
So does that mean we need to update the map that's on the
Yes.
website? Right?
Yeah, we're working that's on the to-do list of updating the map.
Because for example, this has going Snyder Hill Road, which the old one did not.
It did. This is only Snyder Hill from Genung.
Oh, it's the upper part of Snyder Hill.
It's Genung, and then from Genung at that intersection where that cemetery is, and then it heads east to Beesmer, and then all the way to 79. It doesn't go west. It skips the top half of Quarry, as well as going west to.
Oh yeah, Mrs. Ray's house by about half a mile.
He's not on. He doesn't know. Everything that says non-grant network that is in gray has access to Spectrum
Yes.
cable. So they do have a broadband provider today. Well, with a few exceptions. Some of these purple dots, these bead dots, are very long driveways that made it impossible to be serviced by Spectrum without being hit with a $5,000 to $25,000 payment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. So that's pretty close to what the original one was. Now that I look at it. Okay, I got it. Sorry.
So Project 1 is Dryden North, Project 2 is Dryden South, Project 3 is Caroline West, and then East. Right now, blue says not yet started regarding the steps. So each of these will move through this until they are all green, ongoing, and then eventually they should all be green and started and eventually completed. Step 1, providing the winning bidder the design book that has everything they need for construction and splicing. That will happen for this first dot in the next 2 weeks. Like Vantage is getting that really close to being ready to hand to them when we have the winning bid. Then that will move into construction, building, and splicing. So we'll see a lot of movement in the first column for Project 1. As that's moving forward, we'll put Project 2, 3, and 4 out to bid, and then those will get their books completed, ready for construction. At some point, much of this document in step 1, 2, and 3 will be green at the same time.
Right, because these are being put out to bid that way, they can be being done in parallel.
Right. The holdup will be 2 parts. One is getting these packages ready for bid, and then getting the electrical make ready completed. So when the bids are awarded, that there's work to do on the poles that have already been made ready.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts to all of this. This is just one of many ways to explain it, between the bulleted list and the maps and the charts and the graphs. If it's not working, we can always make adjustments. Say, like, let's display this information a different way. But for now, everything is in this blue, not yet started, but things will move to green, and then eventually black, completed, will be done. All right. Before we jump to the team reports, any questions on construction or MIP summary?
Yeah, it'd be nice to understand it by having a sort of overlaid map to say, oh, this is the 1, this is the 2, this is 3, and it's 4. So it'd be, and the Freeville overlay. That would be nice to know. So
Definitely.
if
Yeah.
we can do something like that.
Yeah,
helpful.
I think Brad has his GIS person coming to our meeting at 2 o'clock today to discuss this. So we may have some more details about what that's going to look like shortly. It's important. People are asking about the map, not daily anymore, but a couple times a week, people are asking about the map and the zones and
Yep.
what. So it'd be
I
good
mean,
to
that's
have.
the questions. That's probably, and Graham probably can attest to the same thing. I mean, that's the biggest questions we get is, you know, what's going on with the map?
I mean, outside of removing the map completely, we use it for the green zone a lot to see what people are in the green zone. That's the easier, that's the more useful part immediately is like Tracy, the installation
Right.
team from Integrity, Amanda and I can just look at the map and be like, we know it's in the green. We know it's good to go for owner occupied single family homes. For rental properties and mobile home parks, not quite as easy yet, but we're getting there.
And you said that Project 2 block is going to be all the orange stuff in the southern part of Dryden, right?
Well, that's what we're projecting right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. These bids are unit based. So we have the miles that are there. The bidders will put in will fill out the document. If we need to increase by a mile here or 2 miles there, we can make those modifications and it'll just increase by the unit price as a way to solve some of those problems.
Yep.
But we're going to try to aim to get these as close as possible in the initial RFP. All right,
I'd
I
like to-
rearranged these a little bit. Go ahead, Tony.
I'd like to make one comment. I've been very happy that multiple days a week, I see a Vantage vehicle somewhere when I'm driving around. In fact, I saw one again this morning as I was going down into the village, and I have to say it's good to see them around.
Yes, often they have the lights on so they stand out a little bit more.
Oh yeah, they have their flashing lights on and all that stuff when they're driving.
Sometimes they have the Dryden fiber magnets on them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
they're working hard out there.
Yeah,
they're
I see
out there
them.
all over the place.
Like I said, multiple days a week. If I'm out and about, I tend to. It just surprises me how much I see them. You know, which
Yeah, I
is,
mean, knowing that Danella and HRS is going to have many crews in the project, we could order 20 more magnets and use them up pretty quick. Chalk
Yes.
magnets.
Yeah.
All right, Amanda, do you want to talk about customer base? Oh, you're muted, so we can't hear you.
Unmuted, sorry. So as Dave said, we had 20 new customers. You can see some changes here. Really, we had some people that moved. We had one customer just switch levels. I think this one, it left silver and went to gold. That was the difference. So really, it was just a couple that moved, and that's why the changes this month.
Gotcha. Any questions on customer base?
No. I'm wondering if all 3 of those platinums were on Hanford. I know 2 of them were.
We tend not to say specifics about the customer base.
Yes.
But you can feel free to ask them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I put Amanda's financial slides up next. Keep them together.
Yep. So still a busy month, as you'll see in the next slide about customer subscription income continues to go up with the new customers. Construction is still happening. A lot of those expenses are engineering, installs, and I believe we had some pole permits in there too. I didn't look very deeply right now. So yes, still construction. Installation, well, installation is a separate line. And then operations. Dave, you want to just go ahead to the next slide so I can talk about operations cost. So
Yes.
please don't freak out. We have a much higher month for operating costs. And there was 3 reasons for that. One, the invoice to the Integrity was missed. They didn't pay them. So really July should have been a little higher. So that we had to pay 2 in August. But we also have our annual FCC fees, which is based on our 2020, the year before is revenue. There's a percentage we have to pay the FCC. And also we have our semi-annual pole rental fees to pay to NYSEG. Note this number will go up next January when we're on a bunch more poles. This is the rental we have to pay because NYSEG owns the poles. So that is, we should see that come back down, obviously, because all of those expenses won't be in there next month. So any questions, kind of both slides? I just wanted to go to this one because it showed the details. Okay, Dave, did you put my other slide next to this one too?
What was
No,
the other slide?
okay. That's the HR insurance.
No, I left that at the end.
Okay, that
I don't think we have anyone from Integrity on the call. Customer service as of September 1st, 93 tickets. It's been around 90 tickets. It was 90 in July, 83 in June, 100 in April, a lot more in March. That somewhat is often related to the number of signups, because signups do generate tickets. But overall, the ticket to customer ratio is now 21%. That's been pretty consistent through August, July, and June. Even May was 18. So right around that ratio. We pay a flat fee per month for support today, and it's going to increase once we hit the next threshold. I think it's 501 customers or 500 customers. Then we'll hit the next tier. So that number you will see that go up each month. Or it'll go up and it'll be that new tier until we get the next one, which I think is like 1,000 customers. If this was a case where we were paying support basically per issue or per individual user, we would be trying to find out, are there ways to be a bit more efficient, reduce the number of service calls, support calls? But since we are paying a flat fee, it's not as impactful to look at that. There are definitely fewer of the other unrelated calls looking for other departments since we changed to our new phone number. That number had been in the 50s and 60s and higher in the past. That's this number. It's 26 this month. Any questions on customer service?
So
Yeah,
those
so it looks-
those other calls, Dave, are those looking for other town departments and people just call the wrong number?
People can still call. Yeah, I mean they see 844-7800 posted for Dryden Fiber, and they call us for other non-Dryden things. Yeah.
Like dog licenses, you'll get a call or something like that?
Dog license, the clerk's office, the planning department, courts, recreation, I suppose. Jason?
it's a
Hmm.
case
There's
of they probably go around if they aren't getting the answer from some department, they go, well, let me try this
Yeah.
extension. And Dryden Fiber has an extension on the main line. So that way our old documents that still have the old number on it still can go to Integrity because we had to keep that there for the time being. So
Yeah.
my suspicion is sometimes I've had it happen even in my extension, they just can't get to somebody. And so this one answered, so.
But if I understand this right, we have a flat fee up to a certain ceiling or just a flat fee regardless of how many calls?
Regardless of how many calls we have.
It's based on number of customers.
Yeah, it's based on the customer count.
Okay.
So it was expensive per customer when we had 10 customers. It's a lot less per customer now that we have almost 500 customers.
Then it'll bump up. The per customer number is going to bump up again once we hit 500.
Yeah, but the cost per customer will never be as high as it was when we had
Right, exactly.
one customer or 10
Yeah.
customers.
Yeah.
That also covers all the work that Integrity does to service the network, network monitoring,
Yeah.
all the other things they do to help us.
Yeah, they do a lot. If there's an issue, there's a lot of things that they can help us with, so.
So am I correct in thinking that the wireless and the router issue and the sporadic connections, we basically had 4 actual issues with something going wrong? Or do we not have any clairvoyance into that?
That sounds right. User error education covers a lot of things. Service inquiries sometimes are hardware questions like, do I need a Plume device? Can I use my own? Like that. If that's the only question on the call, it gets flagged in that category. These buckets are from Netegrity for us, but they also use it for 18 other ISPs. So some of these just like, we're just not getting calls about some of these things.
So do we know if the clarity was or was dispatched on any of these? Do we have any, from our calls coming in? I know the orders, of course, they're, but these other issues, do we know if there's, they're rolling a truck out to go test stuff?
Yeah,
Or is it just internal
it's
or?
pretty uncommon. My guess would be one per month on average for a
I
truck roll.
think that I think they rolled a truck for the router issue this month, but I think the rest of those things were taken care of by Netegrity just by talking with the customer and getting them straightened out. I've had conversations with Andrew about this a couple of times, and usually they can talk the customer through whatever the issue is and get it resolved without rolling anybody.
So it's generally either they reboot something within the server or they're
Yes.
rebooting somebody on the outside. So
You got it.
yeah, it would be nice if they could add the other thing, if there's anything physically wrong, that would be nice to know. So, but,
All right, I can ask Andrew
I
for
mean,
that.
I don't know if it's easy for them. I don't want to make their work a lot harder. So, but if
I mean-
there's, if they're dispatching a truck, I think we want to know, because if that grows or doesn't grow, then we have problem. It sort of indicates, well, maybe we aren't installing things very well or not. But I think we are. So, but we won't be able to know if we don't know those
Yeah.
issues. So,
I think
Yeah,
that
I would say that the down drop damage service line was 0 in August.
Hmm.
If that has a number there, that means we had to go on site to fix it. I think that's the only one there was a
down drop.
definitive, like,
Mhm.
we had to go somewhere. Tony?
No, I was just gonna say it would be, yeah, a metric that would be nice to see here. I agree with Graham, would be, how many times did we have to roll a truck for something? Right. I don't know that we need details on what exactly they were fixing. I think it's more about how many times did we actually have to send, how many times was Netegrity not able to deal with the issue and they had to roll a truck? I think that would be a nice metric to know.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. It sounds like not much, right? It sounds
Anecdotally, it's pretty low. It's usually
sounds
a
like that's
damaged line.
Usually if that happens, you're right. It's like somebody, up their line or
Yeah.
hit their conduit with their mower deck. I know that place. So.
And
No, I muted Tracy. There's a lot of background noise, but now he wants to talk.
sorry, my experience is that these guys from Netegrity are really sharp. They're able to get most of this stuff corrected without doing anything else. So just letting you know.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, we're not, from this number of calls, given the number that are unrelated or user error education, which is like 2/3 of our calls right now. 25 of them are install orders, which we want them to come through as tickets. It doesn't seem like right now is the place to be putting any kind of like automation bots or AI for problem solving.
Right.
It would seem like most issues, the only thing we could do is say, like, have you tried turning off your modem, turning it back on, and then call us.
Yep.
All right, I'll ask for some updates on metrics around roll times for trucks, quantities. This is some customer communications. So for Hampered Drive, we had to do a 2-hour maintenance window to do the cutover for 4 of the existing customers. Netegrity reached out to those customers in advance, 40 hours beforehand, Clarity did all the work within the time frame, and then Vantage made the network live on the map. At that point, 6 of the 8 houses were live, I guess, as of September 1st, with the service. One of the 4 residents that we had to take offline for that short time period said that she talked about the planned outage. She was amazed that Trident Fiber called to say you might be off for up to 2 hours. So it was great that someone notified her. She was totally fine with it. She appreciated the notice. And then she said if Trident Fiber ever wanted comments, let her know. So we could have just been like, we're turning it off for 2 hours. We're going to set this thing up and turn on Hanford Drive. But instead we sat down as an operations team, said, how do we communicate this to the customer base that's already out there? Let's have Integrity, who knows exactly where everyone is on the network, who's going to be impacted. We'll have them do the outreach on behalf of the project, let them know when it's going to be 2 hours, 2 days in advance for that 2-hour outage. And it worked really well. Just one of the ways that, we're getting our money's worth from Integrity, but also how we're standing apart from the competition with customer service.
Yeah, this is where we can be exceptional, Dave, and I think we are here. So
Yeah. And I actually heard directly from 3 of the 4. Yeah, they were all fine, appreciative of the call, no problem with the outage, right? I mean, it was,
Installations. Tracy, any new updates we haven't covered?
We did have one issue. We bought a whole bunch of the plumes, and they were not registered to Dryden Fiber, so they wouldn't work. But we got that resolved very quickly, and we're all set there. So that was a blocker, but it's not a blocker anymore.
Good.
So I have a question. Maybe this is the right place to answer. I was thinking of it earlier when you were going through the MIP bids and all that. Is right now I know we have a significant inventory, right, Tracy? I mean, for to do installations, we have a lot of MOUs.
That is correct. Yes,
and we have all that stuff and drop cables and all that stuff. But it sounds like the way this is being bid out, that we could potentially get to a point where we have sort of an explosion of installations, right? Because we have a lot of stuff going on in parallel. And I guess are we going to be prepared for that? I guess is from the installation side, because I would hate to have that happen and then not be able to do installs because we don't have inventory. I mean, I know we don't have to worry about that right now, but
no, we don't have an issue right now.
6 months from now we may.
Yes, but that'll be just a matter of staying on top of it, making sure we get stuff ordered. I think the biggest issue is going to be when we decide to switch from Sienna and then go to the other company, and then we have to change what we're doing for our Wi-Fi units as well. So right now we have approximately the same number of Sienna units in stock as we do Plume devices, so that we can continually do these installations. And I think it's right around 300. So we're good for a little while, but yes, it's going to require that we stay on top of it. That's for certain.
Tracy, is that a done deal that we're going to the other vendor, or at least my understanding was that we would have a discussion about that, and Vantive were going to give us a proposal?
That is correct, Graham. It's not been decided at this point. It's going to be up to you guys. You guys have got to decide what you want to do there, and nothing's been decided at this point. They're still doing research.
But the other big holdup is basically getting these apartments engineered. Is that right? Or is engineering moving along?
Yeah, we can talk about that next. So you asked the right question. There's 2 very busy slides. I'll try to read high level left to right. On the left column is...
And I'll let you do this, Dave. Go ahead.
Who owns the task right now? Dryden Fiber Marketing, or Tracy or Brad Vantage are the owners of the tasks, at least on this slide. The MDU name is the more familiar name of the location, the multiple dwelling unit. And then the goal is that all of these boxes be green across the top, and there's notes on the right. So there's the initial owner outreach that only happens after a tenant has reached out to us and said, I want service. Then we reach out to the property owner. Then the next two things don't have to happen in this order, but it's better if they do, because we don't want to spend engineering design time unless the property owner has agreed to having us be a partner, but some of them don't want to agree to being a partner until they know what the engineering looks like. So the next column, that property owner paperwork is signed, and then engineering design is complete. After engineering design is complete, we present that to the property owner. We schedule the additional construction needed for that MDU. We complete that, and then we notify the residents. As you can see, most of this page is not green. The only places where we currently have service for MDUs is I think Estates, which was Congress Trailer Park near Etna, and Shady Grove Mobile Home Park off of Pinckney Road, near the Pinckney Road pop. Now you'll see note in yellow, we do not have signed paperwork. That was done before we knew we needed landlord permission to go in and add stuff to their facilities. Everything else we're working on, there's a combination of either Tracy is tracking down the owner or Brad in the Advantage engineering team is working on the engineering design.
Why do you need a new signature for Little Creek?
Little Creek.
That's the one over on North Road.
Yeah.
And we are changing what we want to do there. Like we're going to put poles in. So
Okay.
we can't just go start putting poles on somebody's property because that's going to irritate them a lot. So in order for us to proceed with that, we're going to need to get permission to do that. So that's where we are with that one.
Okay.
Yeah, you also notice on the right-hand side, poles needed, Fall Creek Park, poles likely needed, Little Creek, poles potentially needed. That's at County Acres and McLean. Poles potentially needed at Pleasant View on Southworth Road. And then a couple unknowns. So putting in poles means like calling engineering and designing where we're going to put these poles to reach the maximum number of units with the fewest number of poles, and then sharing that with the property owner so they can say, yeah, that's an okay place to put a pole, and then dig safe, and then scheduling the pole installations, and then being ready.
And then on another note, the owner of Mott Road Mobile Home Park is Reggie Bloomfield Brown. He actually installed conduits for us so that we can go do this. And the engineering is they just need to put it together, and they're working on it. I know that. But Reggie is ready for us to come in there and service everybody in that trailer park. He's made all kinds of inroads for us. He's very excited to have us come in there and do this. He also told me when I was there talking with him last week that he talked with a lady down the road, I think at the that farm, and said they're extremely happy with the service that we're providing. So that just gave him more reason to get this done.
Good.
Very interesting conversation. He's a great guy to work with.
There's mostly mobile home parks on this slide. The next slide is mostly apartment buildings. 1062 Dryden Road, Lake Street, Willowbrook, the Four Corners around Dryden Village, which has some apartments. Lower Creek Apartments, Creekwood Apartments, Freeville Cottages, George Jr. These are all different combinations of outreach so far. This is probably as of September 1st, so a few things have happened in the last 5 days. Again, we don't have a single apartment building live today.
Wow. What's going on with George Jr.? I thought they wanted it.
They definitely want it.
Okay. And we
but-
don't need any additional paperwork from them, right?
Nope.
Yeah. Okay.
We figure out how we're going to get the service to them. There is service on Mott Road. It's about a 2,500 foot run. Our previous engineering firm said we'll pay the first 500, just charge George Jr. for the other 1,700 feet at $2 a foot, which we could do. We could charge them. We could provide service with a 2,200 plus foot underground line across their property. However, the building that we're connecting to is on Route 38 and it's less than 500 feet from the road.
Right.
As of today, we don't have fiber on that section of 38. And I, been waiting for almost a year to find out if we even have permits to use those poles on 38. If we
Yeah, see,
do,
that's where the map is a little deceiving because the George Jr. property can be fed from Mott Road. It's all green, which makes it look like that whole section of 38 has service, but it really doesn't. Yeah.
that's correct.
It's just the
Well,
frustration that this is the frustration that we deal with on a regular basis, Tony.
Yeah.
So still waiting to find out what the permit situation looks like to attach to those poles coming south from Mott Road on 38 to the
Right, on
entrance to George
38.
Jr. And then from there, bring it into the service. To me, as a good neighbor, it doesn't seem like we should charge them $3,000+ for service when their IT building is less than 500 feet from the road, which is the commitment we've already made to our customer base.
Yeah, are they going to that main school building or are they going to the admin building? Yeah.
Actually, it's a different building. It's a different building that they have. I think it's behind the admin building. So
Yeah.
I've been there. I've seen it. Once we get it in there, they have their own private network.
Right.
Will distribute
Yeah,
to every place.
Yeah, they have utilities running. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have their own fiber running everywhere. So
Yep, they do. Well, I was there not too long ago, and I asked her. I said, "Is that your fiber or somebody else's fiber?" And they said, "No, that's their fiber. That's because they had fiber markings running on the property." I saw. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a challenge because they've been in the green zone for probably a year.
Yeah.
September, October. It's one parcel. They are probably going to be an enterprise highest tier for commercial.
Right.
However, in that time, we've increased our engineering focused on the MIP project, which has
Right.
increased our budget by almost 3 million. And we focus on this, most recently, this RFP, which services 900 houses. All engineering hours are not equal, and all work we do on research and pole applications is not equal. So we had to make some decisions, and it was like, let's focus on MIP, the funding, and this major expansion to get the construction teams working, and then we'll loop around to handle some of these MDUs, apartment buildings.
So
as well.
other than these so on this list you have sort of these are larger apartment buildings, right? These aren't just general rentals, and within the green zone we have a fairly significant number of rentals, I would think, that are not like large MDUs.
Yeah, single family home rentals are really easy.
Right.
Duplexes, rented duplexes, pretty easy because we just want to drop to each individual unit.
Right.
I think we probably have some in the Village of Dryden that have up to 4 units. Where
Right.
we're running a drop to each individual unit. But once you get to a place where utilities come into a utility room,
Yes.
that's our limitation right now.
That's what you have on here is those kind of properties, not these duplex, quadplex, whatever kind of buildings that you're going to just run a single drop to each unit for. Yeah. Okay.
Working really closely with Brad and the team for Vantage, we've identified a SANA device that we would put into the units here at 1062 Dryden Road. I'd say engineering design is actually complete now. It was completed a couple days ago. One thing to note is that 1062 Dryden Road in Varna and 1279 Dryden Road are both owned by the same owner. And I reached out to him with our plan for 1062 earlier this week. He was like, "This is great, but bad timing." I can't do anything with this for at least 2 weeks because we're really close on 1279. My entire focus is there.
Right.
So hopefully it'll come up for air mid to late September. He'll review the plan, he'll give the approval, and then we can send in clarity to do the construction and provide service to those residents at 1062 by October 1st. And then put some engineering resources behind 1279 Dryden Road to see if we can provide service there too.
Yeah, that's almost 40 units right there. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So it's a balance between construction, installation, and these one-off issues that we have to solve for. I don't think we found any that were. I don't think we found any two that were exactly the same.
Yeah.
No, we have not. That's for certain.
Yeah, you'll see that even this comes off the comes down off. There's one more on it in a lane here, and Hillside Acres is down here, and Cook Street in Freeville. So there's even more than even fits on this screen at this point.
Right. Right.
All right, so we are making progress. We had some good meetings with some of the property owners, with Tracy and Brad, the engineering team. And over time, just like everything else, these colors will change as we move and get more of these complete. I'll just touch on marketing kind of quickly over the right-hand column. 20 more customers in August. Been pretty consistent this year, 20 in July, 30 in June, 22 in May. Inbound requests, 35 in August, so down from July, but 28 of those were available in the green zone. Not available 550. So this number is reduced greatly. I went through in the last couple weeks on the 850 or so who had signed up. There were about 100 in Caroline. So that's awesome. It means when we get Caroline ready, we'll be have 100 already ready to go. So that brings us down to like 750 or 760. About 150 of them are duplicates, people who've signed up more than once. There's only about maybe 5 people who have signed up more than twice. But there are about 5 people who signed up 5 or more times. And then the remainder are duplicates of people who are already installed and live, but they're still on the list. And people who signed up who don't live in Dryden or Caroline who have signed up. And there's maybe 50 of those between Groton, Virgil, Town of Ithaca, City of Ithaca. Every bordering town between these two towns has had at least one person sign up. So that's why it's down to 550. It's still a lot of people who are basically ready to go. And when we reach out to them, somewhere between 80 and 90% do schedule. Or 100% in the case of Hanford Drive. Mark?
Hey, Dave, I'm wondering in Caroline about that stretch on West Creek Road that's actually in Tioga County. Would those people be able to sign up?
Yes.
Okay. They're eligible.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
For the ones who are serviceable, we have about almost maintaining this 84% are live. That means there's a lot that are in apartments that we're still waiting on signatures or engineering design work. This needs to probably be cleaned up a little bit, but we're pretty close on moving this from where we were way back just about a year ago, when only about half the people who we could service were live, who've requested service. We're increasing that percentage substantially. Nothing else really regarding the website, just kind of the average month, similar to how it was throughout the year. Any questions on this part of marketing? There's still demand, but I'd say it's not as strong as it could be, which is the next thing, which is we want to send an email out to our current customer base, the 470 customers. There are 1,300 properties in the green zone that have not yet signed up. So 4 parts of this I'm thinking of. One is signing up for automatic billing. The second is referring a neighbor. The third is signs for your yards. with the goal of tapping into those green zone locations. And the last is just remind people of our customer service, that they should use it. It works 24/7. This goal is make sure people are happy with every aspect of Dryden Fiber. So make sure they know there is customer service available. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the automatic billing, sign up, and the refer program. The goal for this would be to send it out after the weekend, so on September 9th. It
If
should
it's
say
if
September.
it's less than 1% on the non-auto pay, why don't we just target those customers individually?
Oh, that's the goal. It's not where we're at right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
got
let's
you.
talk about auto pay for a
Sorry.
minute. Automatic billing goal is less than 1%. Right now, 27 customers or 5.7% do not have automatic billing set up through our portal. A number of people use their own banking system, Wells Fargo, Tompkins, whatever, and have checks sent to us. Why do we recommend auto pay? First, operational efficiency, way less manual work, opening, logging, depositing checks. There's fewer errors with auto pay. There's reliability. We don't have to rely on the USPS to get stuff to us. Financially, it's not huge because it's only 6%, but more predictable cash flow. We know what's going to happen every month. Reduces late payments and collections, time for collections. Definitely will lower any fees we have to pay for bounce checks. For our customers, super convenient. That's probably why 94% of people already signed up for auto pay. You don't have to remember when it's due. It just once a month, the charge goes through. You don't have to worry about it when you're on vacation. Did I pay? Do I owe it? And there's digital records. All the auto pay sends all communication by email, so you have a complete record of everything. Also, for us as a modern digital first entity and scaling to a 5,000 customer goal, 6% or 27 customers is not that many right now, but having hundreds and hundreds of checks a month is going to be a big effort for us to manage. So Amanda and I talked about this. We would love to see a less than 1% goal. We didn't set 100%. We do have one customer, I can't even name who they are, that does not have an email address. They don't have email. They do have Dryden Fiber. They pay us monthly, not online. So that person probably will not be an online bill pay person because they would need an email address. A handful of people pay by check. They go to get a money order from Walmart and mail it in when they have the money. Generally, they're good about it, but it's just more convenient for them and for us to be on auto pay. So our suggestion for the Broadband Committee is to include this in the email newsletter, sign up for auto pay, and be entered into a drawing for a free month of service as a way to move these 27 customers into auto pay. As long as you've set up your auto pay with us by October 20th, you'll be entered. And the goal is to increase automatic billing to 99+%.
That sounds great.
That sounds good to me. I mean, I think you're going to get to there's going to be a certain number of people that just won't do auto pay. They don't have credit cards. They don't want to put their bank account information. They may not even have bank account. If they're going to Walmart and getting money orders, they may not even have a regular bank account. And so there's not much we're going to be able to do for them, but I think, I think a 99% automatic billing is a good goal.
I mean, the back of the envelope, if we have 5,000 customers and we maintain this rate, that's 300 people paying by check.
At 1%.
That would be if we stayed at 6%.
At the rate you're at right now.
Yeah, if we don't do anything, we're just like, hey, pay however you want.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
So-
Yeah, we don't want 300. Yeah, we don't want 300 checks a month. Yes, I get it.
Yeah.
So
The other option is to give a discount for anybody who's got automatic pay billing. We can alter the structures slightly, but I wouldn't do that yet. But let's see if this works.
Yeah, we need to remember too that we still have credit card fees on top
Yes.
of,
Right.
because we are not one of those businesses that charge the fees back to the customer.
Mhm.
So if we give a discount, we're already losing again. So just to be aware.
I can't tell you how
Yeah.
nice it was to get that invoice and not have, you know, the all the little stupid fees that they put on like cell phone bills and
All the fees.
bills and and so they say, oh, it's this much per month, but then when you get done with it, there's like $10 more in other stuff that's on there.
Yes.
Yeah. I wonder if we should be clearer about that, because I really like that too. There's the FCC fees, the Tompkins County, whatever fees that go on the other bills. Maybe we should be clearer that we're more inclusive, that includes everything. So 100% of
Right.
your bill is going to
We
be
say
this.
if we say it's going to be 45 or 75 or 90, that's what it is. And that's that was super refreshing.
That's a good point. As you saw in the monthly expense report, we did have to pay our FCC fee. We could have divided that per individual invoice per month per year.
Yeah.
It's a small amount,
Well, but that's what I mean,
but
that's
that's what other providers would do.
what these other providers do. They you see these little these so they say your service is X per month, but then you start adding all these other things on there, and it really
Yeah.
can pump it up.
Great. Well, we can use that language. I think it is useful to help people understand. It's $45 is $45.
Not only
Yeah.
is this an introductory rate, but it's an all-inclusive rate, right? Which I think is even if we have to, like, let's say the fees went up and we had to bump our fees for whatever reason. I'm not saying we should, but let's say we had to. Keeping it as an all-inclusive rate, I think, is really nice because it just it's an all-inclusive. People know this is how much I'm paying. Period.
And you could articulate what some of those other fees are, like from
Right.
other bills, and say this is included, this is included, this is included, and then people feel
Yep.
a little more motivated, maybe.
Right.
That's why we have this committee, because Amanda and I hadn't even discussed those items. It's good.
Yeah.
All right, the other one, refer a friend. I don't know. I don't plan on this making a lot of revenue for us, or I don't plan on this being a very big expense for us, because I think most people will put signs up or even tell their neighbors without expecting money. But to try something different, refer a neighbor, and both of you will get $25 off your next bill. Or refer your neighbor and you'll get $25 off your bill. They just get this great service for $45 a month. If they sign up and enter your name in the request service form, and they get installed by the end of the year, we'll give you a $25 credit off your next bill for each person who signs up where your name is mentioned. New customers can only attribute referral to a single existing customer. New customer requests only. Within this current, whatever is available today in this green zone. And the goal of this, again, is to tap into those current 1,300 plus locations that are in the green zone and try to get those people to come on board.
Because we have bandwidth to do installs, so yeah, it'd be
We
nice.
definitely have bandwidth to do the installs.
Yeah.
$25 off of a bill, off your next bill as a person who referred. We can afford that when the cost of everything else is in play. We would update the request service form just during the campaign. So say,
Yep.
early September through the end of the year, then we would remove that line from the form. There's no additional work required by Netegrity, Clarity, or Tracy when it comes to this column. When talking to these new customers, it's only once they are live and Netegrity hands that customer back to Amanda for billing, that Amanda would go through and look and say, oh, this person signed up after this started, and they put in Graham Dobson's name.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a note of that and give Graham the discount on his next invoice.
That was my one question on this: is what does this mean for Amanda? Right? What is this?
Yeah, probably as a let off. I don't think it's going to be a ton, but
Okay. Yeah.
We talked about yesterday afternoon for a little while at the end of the day and said, if it happens, how much work is it? There'll be some amount of work,
Mhm.
but in the trade-off of having customers who pay $45 a month for the next 10 years,
Yeah.
it could be well worth that little investment.
Right. Because the fact is, this is going to be somebody, Amanda, manually putting these credits on people's accounts, right? So yeah. Well, no, I think this is a great idea. Anything, because I'm a little disappointed in our take rate in some of the green zones, because I would have thought it would be higher, but yeah, I think this is a great idea.
All right, we'll put that in the newsletter going out next week. I'll reach out to Integrity about updating the form. The one thing I don't know if it says on here you can have as many as you want. So if you're like you want to go for it, you're an existing customer, you get 10 people to put your name in the field, and they get all the way through, and Amanda starts billing them, then you could get $250 in credit. There's not a one.
With that in mind, I think Graham will be down there at 1 Etna Lane talking to all them people like next week.
He'll be knocking on our door to get the installations going with the engineering work, which is good. We want people to use the service.
Yeah, but Tony's already sold a Hanford Drive, so I don't know what we're gonna do. So
I was going to work
He's
on
gonna-
Sims Hill
He's going to work on Sims Hill. Yeah.
All right, Brad, make sure you put my name. It's Saler. Brad.
Yeah, Dave's touched on a lot of this already, so I'll kind of be brief here. Poll applications, we kind of been chatting about on the last couple meetings, that quote unquote big wave coming. We did receive that, and Dave kind of pointed to the sheer quantity of make-ready assignments that we've been able to issue, if you will. In doing so, we've gotten commitments from Richardson to the tune of 7 crews, which is significant amount of bandwidth, no pun intended, to knock out lots of make ready at a rapid pace. So I was very, very pleased to hear that from them yesterday. They're also looking for a lay down yard closer to Dryden, just so they can get all the material closer to the site and better support their crews. So that was a big win for the project overall. It's going to make me sleep a little bit better at night, knowing that we're going to have that kind of bandwidth on our electrical make ready. But yeah, Dave covered the construction notes, bid process. So I think the only thing other I had was just kind of where we are kind of waiting on the last piece of the puzzle, if you will, that Clarity is going to help us out with. And that's going to be the light audit, just so we know exactly what's at every splice case, what fibers are being used, etc. I believe, Dave, that will go in front of the board hopefully next week, so they can get started late next week on that project.
Yes, I sent the network design, the light audit information back to the vendor to review, see if they want to take the work on based on the contract language and the specification that we put together. I haven't heard back yet. The next time the TWAM board meets will be on Thursday, September 11th. So next week, they could get awarded this on the 11th and start work on the 12th.
One last thing, Dave, forgot to mention this. We were looking through the list of MDUs. To Dave's point, my focus has primarily been big picture MIP, pushing the poll applications along. So I brought in another engineering resource into the project, getting her up to speed. That's going to help handle and coordinate those kind of cleanup projects, if you will. We've called them a number of different things to this point, but it's the MDUs, the apartments, the trailer parks of the world. We're creating a process, and I think it worked pretty well on 1062 Dryden. a real nice, concise form of here's what the plan is to give to the property owner. So Dave kind of cleaned it up and made it look a lot better than I could as an engineer. So thank you for that, Dave. But yeah,
Teamwork.
bringing in Ronnie to take on that, we've kind of got a process internally. We're going to use a couple of our installers to kind of give her guidance on best ways to tackle these various projects and get those out to Clarity. So last thing I had, Dave, thanks. Any questions?
Yeah, with these apartments and stuff, are we going to be in a way better situation if we move to Calex? Or is that that's not what's really holding it up at all?
Not really.
It's
wish.
not, no.
Wish I was
No,
the magic
it's
one.
not going to make any difference at all, I don't think.
No, see, it actually has a really nice device that we chose for 1062 Dryden Road. So
Yeah.
Dave, the other thing that we had we had talked a lot about was the Ithaca Housing had wanted a building, us to put our services into their building that they're building
Yes.
or we're renovating. Where is that?
That is well, there's two places. One is physically, it is at the intersection of Fries Road and 366 in Varna. It is a 53 unit project. There are two 8-unit buildings and then a 37 unit building. If I did the math right, that totals 53. The funders are reviewing our proposal. It still has not been decided upon, although based on INHS being a local nonprofit, we're being a local nonprofit, that it's very favorable to us. I've reached out to them probably every 4 weeks since June, and I reached out, I think it was not last week, but the week before, so like around August 19th. They're like, we're still working on it. Like we haven't lost it, we haven't won it. We're still in the mix. If you've driven by there, construction is not close to being done.
Yeah. Thanks for that update.
All right, HR, admin, insurance, back to Amanda.
So the main thing is I'm still working on insurance. Dave will tell you I say bad words, but that's okay. There's a lot of details to this, especially with what type of insurance we need to have, the agreements we have. But we are working with an insurance agency and an agent who has over 20 years of experience working with fiber and telecommunications organizations. So they're very familiar in what the exposures that we have. So right now I'm working on an application for, actually we need cybersecurity insurance for specific tech related items. Working with our town insurance agent to get errors and emissions insurance coverage. So all of those pieces together, we have a quote, but it's taking some time to finalize due to the extra pieces needed.
Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah, that cybersecurity insurance piece can be really interesting.
Yeah, we have it for the town. It's basically we have to get more coverage for they call it communications
Got it.
exposure, which obviously the town doesn't have.
Right.
Municipal, but we do as Dryden Fiber. So
right,
it's that piece.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Amanda. This came up. This is related to one of our very unique projects. There's just always these unique projects. Service rental for properties over 500 feet from the fiber located on private roads. I don't think there's going to be many of these, but the proposal, the discussion is for the 500-foot distance that's, quote, from the road or from the mailbox, would we consider this to be from the unit's distance from the road, the public road, or the distance from the public road, private road intersection? In this case, it's a private road that includes part of our backbone fiber connection under the road, parallel to the road and the road owner's right of way. That's where we have our backbone. My recommendation is that we provide service at no installation fee to tenant property owner, as long as the unit is within 500 feet of the fiber we put down along the main driveway, that privately owned road. For distances beyond that 500 feet, we would have to extend the buried line and potentially put in new handholds. For that, we would ask the property owner to pay a distance of $2 per foot, as this is an improvement to their private property. I sent this out by email. It seemed like it was pretty positive response so far, but I wanted to put it through a live conversation. Any thoughts on this proposed 500 feet from the network?
As my suggestion in the email was that the 500 feet be from either the road or the fiber, which, you know, and this is a really unique situation because we have a backbone going right through this private property, right? Which I don't think we have a lot of places where we have something like this. But in general, my question was, why wouldn't a private development like this? So if we let's say our backbone wasn't going right through the middle of this, and this was just a private, and it was just on the main public roads that this road intersects. Why wouldn't this be treated any differently than, say, a trailer park?
Well, that's a good point. Currently, we have not had that conversation about who pays for the infrastructure improvement at the trailer parks.
Right.
I would say this just kind of organically came up as trailer parks tend, I think the smallest one has 20 units, all the way back here.
Yeah. That's true.
17 at Shady Grove. That we said we're going to make the investment on our behalf to reach all 14 to 149 units. Because the per installation at that point from the drop pole to the individual mobile home park is going to be almost nothing.
Right.
Versus the currently paying $1,000 on average per single family home.
Right.
So for these, as well as the apartment buildings, there's a substantial amount of upfront work to get into the building, put the equipment in there, get everything ready. But installation should be an hour and should
That's
be
true. And this property, I'm familiar with this property. There's these houses are really single family homes. There's or there might be some duplexes in there, but they're spread out more than they would be in a trailer park or
very much
a traditional MDU. So I guess I don't have a problem with, going to the owner and saying, for this piece, because there's that, I think as I recall, there's just this one section where they have a private road that spurs off their main private road that you'd have to lay a fiber up. Or it's two of them? Okay.
there's two of them, and each of them has a couple houses.
Right. Each of them has a couple
And
houses.
one of those houses has requested service.
Yeah. I don't. The question becomes, what if the property owner pushes back, right? What if he says,
Oh,
no?
yeah, they could say like, I don't want to pay that.
Yeah.
And then we can decide at that point. Right now, that property owner provides us a connection for our network on their private road for 0.4 miles of the network. That is unpapered.
Yeah. See, so again, I'm not sure we should try to charge him for this, to tell you the truth.
So,
Yeah, well,
so we
let's
actually have two separate legal agreements. One is the right-of-way access for the backbone for those 0.4 miles. A separate one is the property owner landlord agreements that we use for all property owner landlords to provide service to their tenants,
I mean,
independent.
what if he comes back and says, well, okay, yeah, you can charge me for that, but I want so much per month for your backbone running through my property.
We could do that too. We could also send up Clarity to do an assessment of how the distance from the backbone to the actual house on one of those spur private roads off the private road that want service, and see what that would cost, what it looks like.
See what that looks like. I have mixed, I think this is a very unique case, and I think because we have the backbone running through there, I think we're kind of, I think we should, make it as easy as possible for them. I guess is what I'm thinking, but that's just my position. I don't know what Graham thinks, but
Well, I think we need to have an easement or something where because we run the backbone there and see if we can get that solided up. If we can do that, then giving them something for that is fine. So
Yep.
I think like we'll connect all your things, but we need these easements. So. Do we think we aren't going to get the easement or?
No, he already, we have a intermediary who is ready to go meet with him today.
Okay.
yeah.
The easement document and the property owner tenant agreement are both with our town attorney. I asked Nathan, our town attorney, to review those, get them back to us by next Thursday, so we can get them to this property owner to sign off and potentially get to the town board by the 18th of September. Ideally, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, it's, I bring this up because there are, a thousand decisions a day that Amanda and I are making on behalf of the project just to keep things moving forward. But where this one is putting infrastructure onto a private road is a unique situation for the project. These spur roads off of the backbone, and they should warrant some discussion, especially because it's very low population. If it's 3,000 feet and we have to put a handhole in and bring a crew to dig a hole and drop in a cement block and put in a special MST to connect that house, we will never pay for that with the cost of that customer.
Yeah, and if they had to put electricity down there, they're having to pay for those things themselves. So I mean, nice, they
Right.
could run 100 feet. We're giving 500 feet, so which is pretty generous. So
Yeah. So I'll see how it goes with the negotiations on the easement, and then if this comes up, where we are at.
yeah.
I imagine they'll either just say go for it or they'll redline and we'll have more discussion. That I think is to our last slide, which is the legal updates. Contract bid document for major projects has been approved for use. The master service agreement for this is for the Denella has been approved by town boards. Those are moving forward. The auditor's CMIP project that was approved by the town board in August. So 3 out of those 3 are moved forward. Caroline Hut construction bid that's out for bid. That closes today. The audit of the network bid process and contract, I sent that to the vendor 2 days ago for review. When that comes back, we'll get a sign off on that network audit. Empire Access Overlash Agreement, I'm reviewing both the Overlash Agreement and the reciprocal agreement. We received those back from our attorneys. So making a lot of progress on the construction side on legal. Operationally, DigSafe monitoring contract, I'm reviewing that. There's some pieces I gotta double check on so we can outsource DigSafe monitoring to a new third-party provider. Point Broadband RU was signed last week, or approved last week by the town board, actually 2 weeks ago in August. We just have to get digital signatures on that to get to Point Broadband. That will paper up that 3 mile of our network over Mount Pleasant, which is currently also unpapered. Caroline Dry 9A needs some updates. That's on deck. Amanda and I have been gathering some notes that will have to go to Town of Caroline and to our attorneys. The network maintenance and repair agreement and bid process, we don't currently have any signed agreement for network maintenance and repair. We have the good faith of our partners on construction and splicing and installations, but we do not have agreements in place yet. And finally, easement on Philside Drive connecting Ringwood to Phantom Drive. That's with the town attorney for review. I think that was the last one because it's ran off the bottom of the page. So a lot of stuff happening in legal, which requires in some cases maps and screenshots and coordinates of where easements will go and review from our attorneys and their attorneys and engineering. So lots of things happening. Any questions on all these things going on in legal before we wrap up now that we're over? This will be a pretty big span of 2 weeks and 4 weeks for the project. As we said, the Caroline Hut bids close today. The non-mandatory bid meeting for the Freeville extension is next Thursday. With the closing of that, all bids have to be in by the 16th, which is on a Tuesday, 10 days from now. And ideally, it's reviewed. We shared our choice with New York State. They don't have to give official approval. They just want to make sure that we're following the checklist for procurement. Then it would go before the town board on September 18th and be awarded that night. So a lot of things will be happening. And on top of that, this email communication to our existing customer base, try to drive some more installations in our green zone. So we should see a lot of activity in the next 2 to 4 weeks. All right. Anything else while we're all together?
Nope.
Great. I'll keep in the loop. I sent a memo about the generators. Please take a look at that, and we can talk about that in our discussion meeting in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, that looks really good.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, everyone. Have a great weekend, and see you all soon.
Thank you.
Have a
Thanks,
great
Dave.
weekend, everybody.
Yep. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.